Here are your commentators, Stuart Pike and Rod Harrington.
Thanks, Tara. The world champ on the stage here in Perth, making his World Series debut in 2015 and has lost semi-finals in Dubai and Japan to Phil Taylor. Gary Anderson means business. There's no doubt about it. Disappointing at the World Match Play in July in Blackpool. A disappointing performance for a world champion, he was the first to admit. But Anderson will be a threat this weekend in Perth, make no mistake about it. Yes, against an Australian darts icon. Here he is, Kim Lewis, 52 years of age, but he's been playing darts for nearly 40 years. Lives in Fremantle, just down the coast from the city centre in Perth, and he is enjoying a darting renaissance. But Gary Anderson certainly isn't enjoying the start to this match, is he? 30, right smile, I think of embarrassment more than anything.
Yes, I think it was, Stu. Kimberley, she said, been playing an awful long time, and there is Ty and Rachel. Flew over with them. I have to say, the little fellow was absolutely brilliant. As Gary Anderson, well, goes 30 and then makes it right with a maximum.
Yeah, Anderson.
That's typical Anderson.
It is, yeah. 30, then 180. Yeah, Gary Anderson's little son, Ty. And he will have enjoyed that. Already throwing darts, Anderson Jr. Just over 1 year of age, and as Anderson follows the 180 with a 140.
I mean, the obvious biggest advantage for the 8 World Series professionals is that they play on these big stages in front of these lights, and it does get very hot up there, and it makes the grip completely different. Although Kim is very experienced over the last 40 years, as you said, Stu. The experience of playing on the heat up there. When we was doing the front of the show, it is extremely hot on that stage.
Yeah, and it'll get warmer as the night goes on, but yeah, experience should count for so much. Anderson then for the first leg, 14 and tops.
34.
Just a little rusty.
Kim, you require 141.
I think it's fair to say. Anderson and James Wade were practicing for a good hour or so upstairs earlier on the same practice board. Wade has done his job.
86.
He's through.
Gary, you require 20.
Well, that should be a perfect marker for him. Absolutely was. Use the barrel. And Anderson, with the help of that maximum, taking the opening leg against the throw. So Anderson is off and running. Yes, we touched on his performance at the World Match Play when he was stunned, wasn't he, by
90.
Austrian Metzior Sulovic in the last 16, and he just couldn't get his head round the pace of the game or the way that Sulovic played. And
60.
Well, he got very frustrated, didn't he? He didn't know what to do. You know, the camera was on him and he was looking at the ceiling, he's looking around at the crowd. It reminded me a little bit of Peter Ebdon when he played Ronnie O'Sullivan a few years back in the World Championships, and Ebdon went on to win the World Championships. But the slow play absolutely ruined Ronnie, and it's the same sort of thing. Anderson, that mould of Sir Sullivan, you know, the raw talent. They need to get to the hockey very quickly. That's why they like playing the Lewises and the Van Gerwens.
125.
well, Kim Lewis, who back in the day was playing the likes of Eric Bristow and Jockey Wilson,
60.
representing Australia as well in Darts World Cup.
99.
Comfortable so far for the world champion. Arguably, you know, one of the most popular world champions that we've seen
60.
as well.
Gary, you require
I think everybody delighted that Anderson finally completed his darting destiny
50.
by winning the World Championship at the Alexandra Palace back in January. That epic win, of course, over Taylor in the final.
Well,
13 sets.
Yes, then he followed it up with the Premier League title.
Gary, you require
At the
60.
time, it was all talking Michael Van Gerwen, but it was this man, Gary Anderson. walked away with that title.
50.
Just on those two tournaments,
Yeah.
an awful lot of money.
Yeah, just a little sloppy from Anderson so far. See a shake of the head there. He may look at 2-4 here. Or is he going to go straight for it? Well, straight for the 5-5. Gets there in the end. He's missed 6 darts at double, but he's 2 up. He's scoring at the moment far too good for his opponent.
Yes, I think at the moment Kimberly Lewis will be a little bit disappointed with his form, and someone like Gary Anderson's only thrown an 81 average, 25% on doubles. You've got to punish him. However, you've got to admit that getting on the big stage makes all the difference.
There's still to come on the opening night here in Perth, the likes of Adrian Lewis and Phil Taylor, who has got out of his sick bed to play on the opening night in Perth. He's been ill for the last 48 hours, Taylor.
100.
Stephen Bunting against Kyle Anderson, that will be a terrific game. Peter Wright and Paul Nicholson. And how about Barneveld? Raymond van Barneveld and Simon Whitlock. And then Michael van Gerwen to round off the first round of the second staging of this Perth Darts Masters.
Well, you mentioned 2 games there, Stu. Kyle Anderson against Stephen Bunting. That should be a cracker. The home crowd will certainly help Kyle Anderson there. And then Simon Whitlock against Raymond van Barneveld. Whitlock's got something to prove, not being an outright seed in this World Series. He could still, as we see Gary Anderson put in the second 180 of the match. I was going to say, you know, Simon Whitlock's got something to prove, and he could, if he plays well in these last 3 here, Sydney and Auckland, could actually jump in to be
55.
one of the seeds.
Gary, you require 85.
Great dart, tops for Anderson.
Game
Well,
shot,
perfect combination. 13 darter from Anderson.
Full flag Gary to throw first.
3 up
Game on.
in the blink of a darting eye. Gary Anderson. Yeah, lost the semi-finals of this World Series. Appearances in Dubai and Japan, both to Taylor. The first one convincingly. Lost to 8-7 to Taylor in Japan at the end of June. He was 7-6 up, and he had the darts in the deciding leg. He made a bit of a mess of it.
45.
Taylor, of course, went on to beat Peter Wright in a thriller in Yokohama some 6 weeks ago. 3 fabulous weeks on the way here in Perth and Sydney and Auckland. But all a new experience for Anderson, world champion, but enjoying it, embracing what the World Series is and what the World Series has become, and what the World Series may be in the future, with more tournaments possibly in the pipeline.
Yes, I can only see this series of events growing, going to regions of the world, as we see Kimberly Lewis put in a maximum. Make him feel happy. Not saying he's going to make him smile, but certainly inside he'll be happy. But tops, Anderson. The chance here now for Lewis to get on the board. Look at those 15s. Trouble gives him 2 at double top. Well, he's hit the 2, so he's not going to get a dart at the double unless Gary Anderson messes up the double tops.
Well, he'll be disappointed, no doubt. Lewis, after hitting that maximum, he didn't get a dart at it. He didn't get a dart at the bull from 85 out. The world champ at the moment is in a hurry. Well, potential quarter-final clash against Adrian Lewis, unless Loz Ryder, who is the top player in Australia at the moment, could cause an upset. That's our next game, but the winner of this will play Lewis or Ryder on Saturday in the quarter-finals. Is it going to be another maximum? He's looked a little rusty at times, Gary Anderson, but
95.
all very comfortable for him.
Yeah, he's not one that practices over much, you know, this Gary Anderson. He prefers just to come in and keep fresh. You know, sometimes if you over practice, you get a bit bored, and that boredom can come into the tournament play. But Gary Anderson just likes to stay fresh. And sometimes, you know, the guys with the more talent, that is perhaps the better format than slogging it out on the dartboard for 4 to 6 hours a day.
You always get the feeling with Gary Anderson that he never has to try too hard. That's a really good way of putting it, because it all comes so naturally for him. Well, there we go. I rest my case. Malud, he's left tops. Can Lewis get a leg on the board? First dart to the double.
77.
Well, nowhere near in the end.
40.
So Anderson is dominant. Great performance so far. Anderson 5-0 up now against Kim Lewis.
Game on.
So here we go. The champion of the world just one leg away from a whitewash on the opening night here in Perth. I think Lewis will be disappointed that he hasn't really challenged, but this is all very new. He may be veteran stage Kim Lewis, but he would have never played in front of a crowd of this size in an atmosphere like this. And against the champion of the world, who hits his third 180.
Well, Anderson, he started off very slow in the 2, possibly the third leg as well. And that's where Kimberly Lewis should have punished him. If you don't do it in those early legs when you're given the chance, you know that the likes of Anderson and the other players are going to finally turn the turbo on and go on and close the game out. And it looks exactly like it's going to happen. And Gary Anderson over Kimberly Lewis here.
62.
So 126 doesn't have to go the bullseye route, so he's going to stay on the treble 20. Treble 10. Double 18 for the match.
Brilliant. Well, the world champion wins it in style. Fabulous finish, and in the end, a fabulous performance. He started slowly, Gary Anderson, but ominously for the rest of the